very first bold word in your book there is nutrients. Media contains nutrients, right? It's got all of the chemicals necessary for growth. Nutrients are chemicals necessary for growth. Just like you need vitamins and minerals, so do bacteria. Okay, so the media contains those nutrients needed for growth. Next two bold words there on page 45, macronutrients and micronutrients. Macro means big and micro means small. So these are nutrients needed in large quantities or needed in small quantities. And so that macro and micro doesn't refer to the size of the nutrient. It's not a big nutrient, right? It's one that they need in large quantities. They need large amounts of it. And same token, micronutrients aren't necessarily small. They're just needed in small quantities. So flipping over, top of page 46, there are about 6 words in bold there. Those are different types of media that we can use to grow bacteria on. And I'm not going to waste your time reading them and their definitions to you. Okay, so just make yourself a note. You need to know all 6 of those bold terms in the first paragraph of page 46. I'll skip down midway to the page. Media, that material we use to grow bacteria on, comes in 2 forms, liquid and solid. So the liquid media is called broth, like chicken broth. And the solid is called agar, or agar, depends on who says it. So liquid's broth, solid is agar. And that's what you're going to be doing today is making both, nutrient agar and nutrient broth for growing bacteria. And then on Wednesday, you'll actually use the media that you make today to grow bacteria. So we're not using any bacteria today, but we will on Wednesday. All right, so your procedure, I'm just going to sort of summarize it for you. We're making nutrient broth first. It's a pretty standard media. It's got some sugar, some protein, some fat, all of those vitamins and stuff that the bacteria need, all those nutrients are in there as well. But it's important to know that there isn't one broth or one agar that all bacteria will grow on. This isn't magic. It's not like every bacteria in the world will like nutrient broth and grow on it. Some bacteria are very picky and only grow on very specialized types of media. Okay, but this is a good generic one that most bacteria will grow on. So to make it, you've got on your table over there 2 plastic jars, one with the red lid, one with the blue. They come in dehydrated mixes, like bouillon. If you're making chicken soup, you can buy the granulated bouillon cubes to put in. It smells like that, looks a lot like that. It's very similar. So that's the nutrient broth that you're going to start off with. You're going to weigh, I can't remember how much.
3.2.
Thank you. 3.2 grams of nutrient broth powder. So you've got over there next to those containers a scale and a bunch of plastic weigh boats that look like this. Okay, so you put this plastic weigh boat on the scale and then hit the 0 button. That way the scale's ignoring the weight of this. You want to zero it out. And then you take your scoop that's over there and put nutrient broth powder in until it's close to 3.2. Doesn't matter if it's exact. It can be close, right? 3.1, 3.3. But remember, if you accidentally take too much out, you don't put it back in the container. So if you go to 3.5 and you just scoop some out, put it into another weigh boat to throw away. Okay, just in case there's any contamination, we don't want to contaminate the whole jar. Okay, so for today's assignment, you're going to work by groups. Basically, divide the table in half. And 4 people on this side, you're one group, and 4 people on that side, you're one group. Okay. So send somebody to do that, and while one person's doing the weighing, the other person is going to get water. So you've got a big plastic container here, and I'll turn it around so you can get to it easier with the spigot, the deionized water. Then you're going to use a graduated cylinder to measure the water accurately. 250 ml, which is nice because that's how much you need. You fill it up to the top line, and it's got the liquid in it. But when using a graduated cylinder, it needs to be sitting flat on the surface, and then you bend down to look at the line. So if you're measuring and pouring from up here, or with that spigot down here, it looks like it hits that line before it does. You won't get an accurate measurement unless you're on eye level. So it's a new piece of equipment. You're going to want to know the name of it for your quiz. Okay. Graduated cylinder, in case you haven't already learned that one. It's for measuring large volumes of liquid. Graduated cylinder for measuring large volumes of liquid. 250 mil line, you want to make sure that the liquid touches that line. And the liquid is going to curve a little bit, the way I've got it drawn there. You want to make sure the bottom of that curve touches the 250 mil line. So, 250 mils of deionized or distilled water. And you're going to put those into these beakers. These beakers are here for. So both the powder and the water go into the beaker, and then you're just going to stir it on your table. You've got glass stir rods that look like this. Very simple. Stir it to get it to dissolve. It's going to look like chicken broth or maybe really weak iced tea, that sort of amber color. And then you're going to put it in test tubes. You've got on this table or this cart 3 different types of test tubes. For the nutrient broth, you're putting them into the skinny ones with the screw top lid, and the container says nutrient broth right on it, so you know that you need these. You need 6 of them, and you're going to put 10 mils in each. Alright, so we're going to put 10 mils in each, and for that you're going to need a pipette, which we don't have out, so let me grab this for you. Over here in your table, there's a drawer that says pipettes on it. You need the orange ones, where all the writing on it is orange. And then the drawer above it, pipette pumps. You need a green pipette pump. There's a blue one in here too, but it's not big enough. You need a green one. So 10 ml pipette, green pipette pump. These come pre-sterilized. Today it doesn't matter if they stay sterile, but we're going to practice keeping them that way because eventually it will matter. Okay? So they're in a plastic bag, sterilized. There's a round end like a straw that has cotton in it. That's the end you want to open. The pointy end is the part you want to keep sterile eventually. Hopefully that works. I just poke it through with the cotton ball end, and then you put the pipette pump on top just until it's secure. And pull it out of the bag, and now you're ready to measure your liquid. So I'm just going to put some water in here so I can show you. This would be your nutrient broth that you mixed up. To use the pipette, you've got a little thumb wheel here that's going to help you suck up the liquid. But when you put it in, make sure that you're not touching the bottom. You'll get a vacuum seal if you're touching the bottom. So you're somewhere in the middle. You turn that thumb wheel and liquid enters the pipette. You're going to fill it up to the line that says 0 on one side and it says 10 on the other. It's got 10 mils in it. And you put it over your test tube, push down on the top, and it dispenses all 10 mils. So if you have to set this down for any reason, make sure that it's not like this. We don't want that liquid running back into the pipette, so keep it with the tip down. And if you have to prop it up, you can put it back in its bag. And then prop it up at an angle so the green part's always higher than the end. So that's called a pipette, another piece of equipment. It's for measuring small amounts of liquid. Graduated cylinder was for large amounts. Pipette is for measuring small amounts of liquid. And that's what you're going to be using to fill 6 of those tubes. Good so far. All right.
6 for each group?
Yes, 6 for each group. Yeah. And we're going to be making nutrient auger. Once you pipette 10 mils into those 6 small tubes with the screw cap lid, you're going to have some nutrient broth left. You won't have used it all up. Okay, so the nutrient broth that you've got left, we're going to turn that into nutrient auger, solid form, right, of the medium. So you're going to take remaining nutrient broth, and you're going to add, it's 2.6 here, yeah, 2.6 grams of auger powder. That's the other container on your table. So you're going to get a brand new weigh boat. You threw the first one away, so you get a brand new clean one. Put it on the scale, hit 0, so it's ignoring the weight of this. Scoop in auger powder until it's close to 2.6 grams. and then you're going to add it to the nutrient broth that you've got left. Now you can stir this for the rest of the day and it's never going to dissolve. The agar will not dissolve at room temperature. That's why I put hot plates on your tables. You've got to heat this to get it to dissolve. So, boil to dissolve. We need 100 degrees C for this agar to melt and dissolve into the liquid. Now, the other thing you got to do is stir the whole time. So, your two groups are sharing one hot plate. So if you finish first, don't set your hot plate in the middle because there's no room for anybody else, right? So push it off to the edge so the other beaker can go diagonally. And you stir the whole time until it comes to a boil. Okay? If you stop stirring, that agar is going to sit on the bottom and burn. Okay? So rotate through, don't make one person stir the whole time, but stir until it comes to a boil. And just to give you some tips, it's going to start off looking cloudy once you add that agar, like you couldn't read through it. Okay? So if you held up paper behind it, you won't be able to see the letters. As it gets close to boiling, it'll clear up. It won't be water clear, it'll still be yellow in color, but you could read through it. Okay? So if it's starting to clear up, you're getting close to boiling, and I'm warning you about that because it'll go from boiling to boiling over in the blink of an eye. I've done it many, many times. Okay? So, as it gets close to boiling, you pay closer attention. When you're ready, it's boiling, you want to take it off so it doesn't boil over. I like these pot holders best. You put your fingers in, and I go right over the top. And it's boiling, steam's coming out, but this is pretty insulative. I've never burned myself this way. And the tables are heat-proof, so you can just set it right down on the table. But if you're not comfortable with that one, you've got regular pot holders as well. You could do sort of a twofer thing, right? However you're more comfortable getting it off. So we good with that? Boil to dissolve, and that's key. You've got to boil this one. Now for your quiz on Wednesday, I am not going to ask you how much powder did you measure, how much water did you use. It's the basics. Nutrient broth, you have to mix to dissolve. Nutrient agar has to boil. We've got to get to 100 degrees for it to melt. Right, so that's a big difference between those two procedures. I don't care about the amounts because those bottles tell you how much to weigh out. You'll always be able to look that up. Okay, so don't waste time learning the numbers. After you've got it to boil and it's dissolved, we're going to pipette again. Let's try this off. Okay, so you're going to get 6 more tubes, 6 small tubes that have the white lids, which are the ones in this cardboard box that do not have the screw top. It's just a straight test tube. These are the ones you're going to put the nutrient agar in, and the box is labeled nutrient agar, so you remember which tubes you need. You're going to pipette this time 7 mils. Pipette 7 mils into each one. So you can use the same 10 mil pipette you used before, but you're going to fill this up to the line that says 3 on one side and it says 7 on the other, right? So you get 7 mils into your tube. And then put your lids on, because these we're going to turn into slants. So after they cool, what we want is for the liquid to be at an angle, so that when that agar does cool back down and solidify, we want it to solidify at an angle. So that's all solid agar, and it's not straight up and down, right? If we kept the test tube upright, the liquid would solidify like this. We're going to turn the test tube like that so that the agar solidifies at an angle, which we call a slant, obviously, because it's diagonal. So these are going to be your slant tubes, which are like this. So you're doing 6 of those. And then you're going to do 6 large tubes. Pipette 20 mils into those. And they're going to be your deeps. Okay, so that's your third test tube here, and it's labeled. It says deeps on it. They're the big fat ones, screw top lid. Okay, so you're going to put 20 mils into here using that same 10 mil pipette, but you're going to have to fill it up twice, right? Because it only holds 10 mils and you need 20, so 2